The whisper of the ruins. There are moments in life when someone steps into a city, a temple, or a landscape for the first time, and yet feels they have already been there. The heart races. The eyes wander, searching for something that cannot be explained. It is not just wonder before the new. It is an ancient longing, a whisper rising from within. Modern science calls this phenomenon déjà vu. It explains it as a flaw of perception, as if the brain had stored the present in the wrong file. For researchers, it is only a short circuit between memory and reality. But for ancient spiritual traditions, there is no flaw. There is revelation. Egyptians, Hindus, and Greeks believed the soul is an eternal traveler, crossing multiple existences and leaving invisible marks in each journey. When encountering a place for the first time and feeling it as familiar, the soul is not confused. It is remembering. It is like touching a scar you cannot see, but that still pulses. Like hearing a distant echo calling by a name never spoken. The mind may doubt, but the soul recognizes. And this recognition is more than chance. It is as if every stone, every street, every tree that awakens this strange familiarity were an invisible mirror, reflecting journeys that do not fit in this life alone. When this happens, it is not just geography. It is encounter. It is not just a setting. It is a mirror of other lives, a mirror of other versions of yourself. And in that reflection, the soul whispers, "You have walked here before. You are not lost. You are returning." When you feel this calling, do something simple. Stop, take a deep breath, and close your eyes. Let the sound around you become an echo. Ask yourself in silence, what does this place hold from my invisible story? That small gesture opens space to turn the sensation into a bridge between the now and the eternal. And what if every stone we recognize were, in truth, a mirror of another life? A reflection of something the mind forgot, but the soul never lost? The invisible book of the soul. Some say each person carries within a secret archive, an invisible book written on pages that cannot be torn. This book does not hold only the events of this life, but also stories of past journeys, forgotten encounters, and paths never walked with the feet, yet lived by the soul. Science still does not know where to locate this record. Neurons explain recent memories, but what about memories that seem to come from a time outside this body? That is when ancient traditions point to something greater, the Akashic Records, described as a universal library where every thought, every emotion, and every life is kept. When someone steps into an unfamiliar place and feels the intimacy of a hidden memory, it is as if a page from this book opened by itself. A page not chosen by the mind, but released by the soul. It is like inheriting an old family book. Even without knowing the names written inside, by touching it you feel the weight of the story running through your blood. The soul works the same way. It carries chapters we have never read consciously, yet they still shape our choices, our fears, our passions. In dreams, this book opens in fragments. In intuitions, it whispers short lines. In unexpected encounters, it reveals characters who once walked beside us in other times. And before certain landscapes, it surrounds us with the memory of a home that never existed in this life, but still remains inscribed in its secret library. This invisible archive is not linear. It organizes itself as a vast weave of threads, connecting pasts, presents, and possible futures. And every time the soul approaches a place that once was part of one of those pages, the heart recognizes before the mind understands. It is not coincidence. It is silent reading. It is a loose sentence from an ancient chapter rising to the surface of now. Next time you feel that strange familiarity in a place, try to see it as a page being turned. Imagine the wind around you as the breath that opens an invisible book. Ask yourself, which chapter of my soul is trying to reveal itself now? That small gesture transforms the experience into a dialogue with the soul's own archive. But if there is such an invisible book, who decides when and how each page is opened? The echoes of time. The sensation of recognizing a place never visited can be understood as a vibrational echo. It is not just memory, it is reverberation. Like sound crossing valleys and returning after a few moments, the soul also leaves marks on the invisible fabric of time, and those marks echo back when the right frequency is touched again. Many ancient peoples knew this. For the Greeks, time was not a straight line, but an eternal cycle. For the Egyptians, past and future intertwined in a sacred circle. For the Hindus, the universe is a dance of creation and destruction, where everything returns in repeating patterns. For these cultures, life was never a single path moving forward. It was always a wheel, an infinite spiral. And when someone experiences déjà vu in a place, perhaps it is only the moment when the wheel returns to the same point of vibration. It is like walking through a forest and hearing a distant sound. At first, you do not know where it came from, but after a few seconds, you realize it was only your own voice returning, carried back by the echo. So it is with the soul, stepping on foreign lands. It may simply be hearing its own voice, returning from previous lives. And if time is not linear, but circular, then every road has already been traveled, every door has already been opened, every landscape has already been seen through other forms of existence. Recognition is the echo. Memory is the resonance. This mystery puts the mind in tension. After all, if we have walked these paths and other turns of the spiral, have we ever truly lived something new? Or is every so-called first time nothing but a return? Perhaps the universe is a vast hall, and life a melody played many times. Each experience, each encounter, each landscape is like a note echoing in that space. And when we hear the same tone again, we feel we already know the music. When you feel a place awakening that strange familiarity, try a simple exercise of perception. Close your eyes for a few moments and imagine a golden spiral turning beneath your feet. See yourself walking upon it, repeating circles that open into different dimensions. Ask yourself, is this place a new beginning or the echo of a return? That gesture transforms the experience into a ritual of awareness, allowing you to feel not only the landscape, but time itself in motion. And if time is a circle, have we already walked all the roads, only recognizing the turns that return? The hidden key in the body. Many believe the memory of the soul lives only in the invisible, in subtle planes. But the body holds secrets the mind cannot explain. The cells remember. The blood remembers. The heart remembers. There are people who, upon stepping into a certain place, feel the body react before the thought. A shiver rises up the spine. The chest tightens. The breath changes. The eyes fill with tears for no apparent reason. It is not illusion. It is the body becoming the messenger of the soul. Science speaks of inherited instincts, of genetic memories carried through generations. But what about when the reaction does not come from family history, but from landscapes no ancestor ever knew? It is as if the body were a living archive, holding vibrations not only from the lineage of blood, but from the very journey of the soul. In many spiritual traditions, the body was seen as temple, but also as map. Each cell a point of memory, each organ a guardian of stories. and each unexpected sensation a password that opens a forgotten door. Perhaps déjà vu is not just an error of the mind. Perhaps it is the soul using the body as an instrument to say, "I remember." Because flesh is not only matter, it is a vibrational extension of what we are in the invisible. And when it trembles, pulses, or shivers before a place, it is recognizing something beyond logic. Try a simple ritual. When you feel a place stirring unexpected emotions, place your hand over your chest. Breathe deeply, in silence. Notice if the heart races, if the breath expands, if the skin shivers. This is the body's language saying the soul has touched a memory. Do not underestimate these reactions. They are keys. They are small signs that the invisible is trying to speak through flesh. But if the body holds the memories, who was the first to write them within us? The pact before birth. Before being born, each soul gathers in silence before a great invisible map. It is not a map of streets, rivers, or political borders. It is a map of experiences, encounters, and necessary paths. The ancients said that before incarnating, the soul chooses specific places where it will find lessons, people, and signs that will shape its journey. It is as if each life were a new book, but with chapters already sketched, not as unchangeable destiny, but as reference points along the path to freedom. Perhaps that is why certain cities, temples, or landscapes call to us as if they were home. Not because we have been there in this lifetime, but because our soul marked them as milestones in the invisible contract made before birth. In spiritual traditions, this process is described as a prenatal pact, a silent agreement in which we choose not only the family, but also the places that would awaken us. A lost temple in the desert, a beach that seems to speak to memory, a forest that carries the feeling of shelter. These places are not random settings. They are clues, signs left by ourselves, so that when we encounter them, we remember the greater path we came to walk. The body recognizes, the soul vibrates, and the heart warms before them because there is something beyond geography. There is a reminder of who we are, a reminder of what we came to fulfill. Recognizing a place may be more than coincidence. It may be the silent proof that we are aligned with the pact made before birth. A subtle confirmation that, even without remembering consciously, we are walking exactly where we are meant to be. When you feel that deep familiarity in a place, pause for a moment and ask yourself, if I had chosen this place before I was born, what has it come to teach me now? That question opens space for the encounter to stop being mere curiosity and become a message from the soul's pact. And what if every familiar place were, in truth, a sign that you are on the path you promised to follow long before you were born? Portals disguised as cities. Some cities seem to breathe with us. It does not matter if they are forgotten ruins, modern streets, or hidden temples. There are places that wrap us with a feeling of home, even when we have no history there. It is as if certain cities were disguised portals, vibrating in specific frequencies that resonate with the soul's memories. The architecture may be different, the language may feel foreign, but the heart recognizes as if it had already walked those streets. Ancient peoples believed that certain regions were points of passage between worlds. The Celts spoke of thin places where the veil between visible and invisible grew delicate. The Egyptians saw in temples and pyramids true receivers of cosmic energy, and many indigenous traditions described mountains, caves, or rivers as dwellings of guardian spirits. When someone feels a city as home, even without ever seeing it before, perhaps they are standing before one of these disguised portals. It is not only about the beauty or the local history, but about an invisible resonance, a frequency that finds echo in the soul. The sensation can be intense, immediate peace, unexplainable relief, or even deep emotion, as if reuniting with invisible old friends. These places work as mirrors, not only of the past, but also of the soul's future. They reveal that we do not belong to a single country, but to the entire universe. In many cultures, the spiral was used as a symbol of the soul's journey. The spiral appears in prehistoric caves, in Celtic traditions, in Mayan stones. It has no beginning or end. It is continuous movement, return, and expansion. When you find yourself in a city or landscape that feels like home, even if it seems strange, visualize a golden spiral before you. Imagine yourself walking through it, recognizing that you did not arrive there by chance, but because the soul brought you back to that point in the eternal circle. But if there are portals hidden among temples and cities, how can we know which ones are real and which are only mirages created by the mind? The veil of déjà vu. Déjà vu is like a crack in the fabric of the real. A brief instant when the veil separating memory and present tears, letting slip a breath of the eternal. Science describes it as a failure, a short circuit in the mechanisms of memory. But for the soul, perhaps it is the opposite, not failure, but revelation. It is in those seconds of strangeness that we feel the invisible seeping into the ordinary. Colors seem more intense. The heart races, and something within whispers, "This has already happened." But it did not happen in this life. It happened in another or in many other cycles, and now it appears as memory compressed into seconds. There are reports of regressions where people describe places in minute detail, streets, buildings, even symbols on the walls, and later, upon visiting those locations, confirm what they could never have known. Such testimonies suggest that déjà vu is only the visible symptom of a far greater memory, the memory of the soul crossing layers of time. In ancient mystical traditions, it was believed that the veil between worlds was not fixed. There were cracks, spontaneous openings through which the soul could glimpse what lay beyond. Déjà vu would be one of these cracks. A breach where the forgotten returns, if only for the blink of an eye. It is not coincidence. It is calling. It is the invisible reminding us that life is wider than routine suggests. And perhaps that is why déjà vu feels so unsettling, because it pulls us out of the predictable script and confronts us with the idea that we have been here before, even when it seems impossible. When déjà vu happens, instead of dismissing it as a flaw of the mind, try a simple gesture. Breathe deeply, stay still for a few seconds, and ask inwardly, what does my soul want me to remember now? That act transforms the moment of confusion into an opportunity for dialogue with the invisible. But what happens when we cross that veil in full awareness? Not only for brief seconds, but for entire journeys of the soul. Soul journeys between worlds. Some say the soul knows no borders. It crosses bodies, it crosses eras, it crosses worlds. And sometimes, even before arriving at a place physically, it has already visited it in other dimensions. Lucid dreams reveal this. People describe streets, temples, and landscapes unknown to them, and later, in real journeys, discover those places truly exist. It is as if, in the silence of night, the soul had traveled before the body, recognizing the invisible geography of destiny. Astral projections also bring testimonies. Men and women speak of leaving the body, floating in silence, and walking through cities they had never seen. Sometimes, years later, they encounter those very same cities, feeling they had already known them in detail. And in near-death experiences, some speak of crossing portals, walking through gardens or luminous corridors, finding spaces so vivid that, upon returning, the longing for the other side never leaves them again. These experiences suggest that perhaps the soul is an interdimensional traveler, able to access places even before the feet touch the ground. Déjà vu, in this sense, would not be error or coincidence, but confirmation of a previous journey made by the spirit while the body slept, meditated, or nearly departed. The soul is an explorer, and each sudden memory is a fragment of its journeys returning to consciousness. Try a simple symbolic ritual. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and imagine an ancient door before you. It does not need a defined shape. It may be wood, stone, or light. Visualize yourself opening that door and crossing through. Ask yourself, what place does my soul wish to show me before I see it with my physical eyes? This simple exercise trains perception to remember before seeing, connecting you to the invisible journeys of consciousness. But if we can travel before we arrive, who truly guides this journey? Who decides where the soul goes when the eyes of the body are closed? The guardian of memories. If there is an invisible book, if the body holds keys, if the soul travels between worlds, one inevitable question arises. Who decides what we remember and what we forget? Many traditions speak of an inner guardian, a divine spark that accompanies each soul. This guardian is not external, not a separate entity. It is the deepest part of us, the one that knows when to reveal and when to conceal. It is the guardian who opens the right pages of the book, who allows a déjà vu to pierce the veil, who awakens emotions before an unknown city or temple. This guardian protects the soul from memories that could confuse and releases only what serves growth in the present moment. Sometimes, remembrance comes as tenderness, as the feeling of home. Other times as discomfort or even fear, signaling that wounds from other journeys still wait for healing. Either way, the guardian decides the right time for each revelation. It is as if within us there is a silent master holding keys to ancient doors. He opens one at a time, never all at once. And each door that opens reveals not only the place, but also a part of ourselves. When a place awakens inexplicable memories, it is not just geography speaking. It is the inner guardian lighting a lantern in a forgotten chamber of the soul. And in that moment, we do not only recognize the place, we recognize ourselves. Next time you feel a space or landscape calling you, place your hands in prayer before your chest, close your eyes, and say in silence, "Guardian of my soul, show me only what I am ready to remember." This simple gesture transforms the experience into a conscious dialogue with that protective spark. But what if the true place you recognize is not on the map, but within yourself, the return to the invisible home? At the end of all questions, there is silence. And in that silence, the soul whispers the simplest answer. Home is not on a map. Home is within you. Recognizing places never visited is not an accident. It is a reminder, a sign that the soul has already walked many paths, that it knows invisible roads and carries the wisdom of 1,000 journeys. Each familiar landscape that appears without reason is like a letter sent from the eternal. Each déjà vu is a reminder that the soul was not born with this body. It only inhabits it temporarily. And every sensation of "I have been here before" is a key, a portal connecting us to what never dies. Because the soul does not forget. It only chooses the moment to remember. And when it remembers, it shows us that we are far more than we think we are. We are cosmic travelers, walkers between worlds, explorers of dimensions. And the true home is not a city, not a temple, not a landscape. The true home is the invisible space where all these memories meet, the eternal heart of the soul. When your soul recognizes a place, it is not just geography. It is a reminder that you are infinite, that every encounter with the familiar unknown is silent proof that life is much more than this life. The soul's home is everywhere it remembers, and above all, within you.